Hello dear chess fans, subscribers and spectators. My name is Eugene Grinis. Welcome to my free chess school, from beginners to advanced, open for everyone who want to improve own game. In this video I want to analyze with you a famous game, José Raúl Capablanca, Frank James Marshall, played in New York, 1918. I hope you will learn something new to you about chess and play some better chess at the end of the video. José Raúl Capablanca was one of the greatest players of all time and held the World Championship from 1921 to 1927. Frank Marshall was one of the world's leading players in the first quarter of the 20th century. Marshall's aggressive tactical style was well suited to tournament play. By 1904, when he won a tournament ahead of the world champion Lasker, he was certainly one of the 10 leading players in the world. Marshall was not a great opening theoretician, but two of his gambit lines are still mainstream openings today. One is the Marshall gambit in the semi-Slav, and the other is the famous Marshall counterattack. The story behind this widely known game makes it one of the most famous in chess history. Marshall had prepared a surprising new attacking line on the black side of the Ruy Lopez. Capablanca, against whom Marshall had a dreadful score, was the ideal opponent on whom to spring the surprise. They say that Marshall saved up his idea for some years to play it against Capablanca. Capablanca accepted the sacrifice, but had to weather a strong attack against an opponent who had prepared the whole line at home. The remarkable thing about this game is not even the ease with which Capa solved problems at the board that his opponent had prepared for him at home. What's stunning is that Capablanca, by intuition alone, surpassed the analysis of the next few generations of chess players, and indeed had anticipated the conclusions of the best computer programs. Despite this bad start, the Marshall attack is today regarded as one of Black's main defenses against the Ruy Lopez. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6. My first surprise. For the first time in 10 years, Marshall allowed me to play a Ruy Lopez. Capablanca. Marshall used to play knight f6, Petrov's defense. Knight c6 was played. Bishop b5. Ruy Lopez. a6. Bishop a4. Knight f6. White castles. Bishop e7. Rook e1. b5. Bishop b3. Black castles. My second surprise. I now felt that Marshall had prepared something for me. The reason was that he had found and prepared a variation for me and kept it for 2 years, awaiting the opportunity of playing it in a tournament against me, Capablanca. c3. There are now many ways of avoiding the Marshall attack, such as a4, Kasparov, d3, Carlson, h3. But at that time, the move in the game was made almost automatically. d5. This move introduces the Marshall attack. This is one of the most famous positions in chess. Black offers his e-pawn in order to gain time and develop an attack against the white king. Capablanca's intuition told him that white's position could be defended, and he decided to confront Marshall's idea head-on. E takes d5. Knight takes pawn. Knight takes pawn on e5. The lust of battle had been aroused within me. I felt that my judgment and skill were being challenged. I decided that I was on honor bound to take a pawn and accept the challenge. Capablanca. Knight takes knight. Rook takes knight. So, black has sacrificed a pawn, and we have a standard Ruy Lopez Marshall gambit. Except this is the first one ever played. Marshall plays knight to f6. Partly as a result of this game, elf knight f6 is now regarded as unsound. 11 knight f6. In 1938, Marshall himself introduced the main line 11 c6, which nowadays is played by such super GMs as Aronian, Grishuk, Anand, Adams, Swidler. Knight f6 was played. Rook e1. White's move order is slightly unusual, but it transposes to the more natural sequence. For example, d4, bishop d6, rook e1. Today, rook e2 is regarded as equally strong. Rook e1, knight g4, h3, queen h4, queen f3, and let's go back to our game. Rook e1 was played. Bishop d6, h3, covering the g4 square. Knight to g4, fully in martial style. The knight is poisoned. White has no minor pieces defending his king side. Moreover, his entire queen side is still at home. Black's attack certainly looks very dangerous. Queen f3, both defense and aggression. But not pawn takes knight. Queen h4, queen f3, bishop h2 check. Not bishop takes g4. Why not? How white defends in this position? Pause the video if you do want to play better chess. White answers with g3, queen h5, queen h1, rook a to e8, rook e3, and white defends. Bishop h2 check, king f1. Now bishop takes pawn on g4 with a decisive attack. Queen e4, bishop f4, g3, queen h2, and white will lose his queen under unfavorable conditions. G takes on f4, bishop h3 check, king e2, rook a to e8, and black wins. But Capablanca had no need to calculate these complex variations. He simply sensed what researchers spent decades studying. Queen f3 was played. Queen h4. Black continues his attack, ignoring both his knight and the rook on a8. d4. This move provides a clear illustration that development counts for more than material in such tactical situations. White's first priority is to bring his queenside pieces into play. Other moves are less good. Again, pawn takes knight is bad in view of bishop h2 check, king f1, bishop takes pawn on g4, queen e4, pinning the bishop, bishop f4, unpinning and threatening mate on h1, g3, queen h2, and white has no defense. d4 was played. Knight takes pawn on f2. Black now threatens. Knight takes h3 check. Black had nothing better and had to go on with the attack to do or die. Capablanca. Question. White isn't white taking that hanging rook on a8. Please pause the video if you do want to play better chess. The answer is knight takes h3 check. Mates in 7 moves. Pawn takes knight. If king h1, then queen takes rook, mate. If queen f1, then queen f2, mate. Pawn takes knight. Queen takes rook check. King g2. Queen e2 check. King g1. Queen h2 check. King f1. Bishop takes on h3 check. King e1. Bishop g3 check. King d1. Bishop g4 check. Queen f3, the only move. Bishop takes queen, checkmate. Let's go back to our game. Knight takes pawn on f2. Rook e2 was played. Again, surprised by a home prepared new variation, Capablanca finds at the board the best way out of the complications and refutes Black's plan. After Capablanca's move, White retains a clear advantage, no matter how Black's continues. Again, White cannot take the knight. Queen takes on f2. Why not? Pause the video if you do want to play better chess. Because of bishop h2 check, but not bishop g3 attacking the queen. Why not? Pause the video if you do want to play better chess. Due to queen takes on f7 check, and after rook takes queen, rook e8 checkmate. Bishop h2 check. King f1. And only now bishop g3 attacking the queen. Queen e2. Why not? Queen takes pawn on f7 check now. Pause the video if you do want to play better chess. Because rook takes queen now is check. The king is on f-file now. After bishop h2 check. Question: what do we do as white if black sacks his bishop on h3? Bishop takes h3. Please pause the video. Answer: white should be able to defend. Pawn takes bishop. Knight takes on h3 check. King f1. should still work out in white's favor, since his king is relatively safe. Question: what do we do as white if black sorry knight g4 is a mistake. g3, queen takes h3, queen takes rook, bishop takes g3, queen g2, bishop h2 check, king f1 leaves black without compensation for the rook. Marshall plays bishop g4. The only chance since knight g4 fails. Pawn takes bishop was played, but not queen takes knight on f2, bishop g3, pawn takes bishop on g4. Why queen f1 is bad? Please pause the video. Bishop takes rook, queen takes bishop, rook a to e8 is lost for white. Pawn takes bishop, queen h2 check, king f1, bishop takes queen, king takes bishop, queen h4 check, beta for black. Let's return to our game. Pawn takes bishop, bishop h2 check was played. After knight takes on g4, g3, bishop takes g3, bishop f4 defense. Bishop h2 was played, king f1, bishop g3, the best chance. I expected knight h1. White, however, can defend in several ways. The best might be bishop e3, Capablanca. And indeed, after knight g3 check, king e1, knight takes rook check, king takes knight, rook a to e8, knight d2, bishop d6, rook f1, queen e7, king d3. Black is lost. Let's go back to the game. Bishop g3. Rook takes the strong knight. Queen h1 check, king e2. Now black has to decide whether to take the rook or the bishop. Marshall plays bishop takes rook. After the game, this move was criticized, and queen takes bishop on c1 was suggested as an improvement for black. In that case, white may try bishop takes pawn on f7 check, king h8. If rook takes bishop, then what? Queen takes rook on a8 check. Rook f8, the only move. Queen takes rook, checkmate. So king h8, queen takes bishop, queen takes on b2 check, knight d2, queen takes rook, queen takes rook, rook f1 favors white. Queen b2, queen d3. White threatens to sack his queen on h7 and deliver mate. h6. If g6, then queen e3, and black is helpless, since he has no good way to cover the check on e5. h6, g5, with a winning attack. Thus, queen takes bishop on c1 was no better than Marshall's move. Bishop takes rook. Question: how would you defend as white here? Please pause the video. Answer: cover the critical e1 square. Bishop d2 was played. Capablanca defends with delicate precision. The automatic queen takes bishop is a mistake. Queen takes bishop on c1, king d3, rook a to e8, and all of a sudden white is lost. Bishop d2 was played. Bishop h4. Queen h3. Black, in order to avoid the exchange of queens, is now completed to drive the king to c2, where he is safe. Capablanca. Rook a to e8 check. The king will be safe on c2, mainly due an absence of black's light square bishop. King d3, queen f1 check, king c2. Now white has two pieces for a rook, an advantage sufficient to win. Bishop f2, queen f3. After this move, black's activity comes to a standstill. Queen g1, unpinning the bishop. Bishop d5, centralizing as well as clearing the way for b2, b4 and king b2 if necessary. After this move, which threatens queen d1, black's counterplay is limited. c5 was played. Bishop e3 fails to bishop takes on e3, rook takes bishop, attacking white's queen, and what now? Knight to d2, also attacking black's queen. Queen takes rook, queen takes rook on e3, winning. c5 was played. Black must react quickly, or else white frees himself with queen d1. White takes on c5. Bishop takes pawn. b4, attacking the bishop. White's material advantage decides the outcome. Bishop d6, a4. Now Marshall makes a desperate attempt to mix things up. a5, a good practical move. A takes on b5, pawn takes pawn on b4, rook a6, attacking the bishop. White finally brings his rook into play. Pawn takes pawn on c3. Knight takes pawn. Game over. White's king is in no danger. White's passed b pawn is ready to march forward. Bishop b4. There is little black can do to stop the b pawn. b6. Bishop takes knight was played. Or rook e7, b7, rook c7, rook a8, queen b6, rook takes rook check, king takes rook, and queen to f5, and white wins. Let's go back to the game. Bishop takes knight. Bishop takes bishop. h6 was played, making luft for the king. Or rook to e3. Exercise. White to play and deliver checkmate. Pause the video if you do want to play better chess. White answers with queen takes on f7 check. Rook takes queen. Rook a8 check. Rook e8, the only move. Rook takes rook, checkmate. Back to the game. h6 was played. b7, rook e3. Now white can force mate in some moves. How? Please pause the video if you do want to play better chess. Capablanca played bishop takes on f6 check, and black resigned in view of inevitable mate. If king h7, then queen f5 check, king h8. Or g6. Queen takes on g6, checkmate. King h8. And what now? White plays rook takes on h6, checkmate. Bishop takes on f6, check. If king h8, then rook takes h6, checkmate. If rook takes bishop, then b8 queen check, king h7. Now mate in 3 moves. How? Pause the video if you do want to play better chess. White plays rook takes pawn on h6 check. If pawn takes rook, then queen takes rook on f7, mate. If pawn takes rook, queen takes f7, mate. If king takes h6, then queen h8 check. If king g5, then queen h5 checkmate. And if king g6, then queen h5 checkmate. An amazingly accurate game in which the only clear error by either side was Marshall's 11 knight to f6, but Capablanca was needed to prove it a mistake. In this famous game, he had to demonstrate all his ability in defense. This defeat did not deliver a final blow to the whole opening. Black started to adopt a new system with the move 11 c6 instead of 11 knight f6. The Marshall gambit is rich in possibilities for both sides, and it will be some time, if ever, before the refutation is found. Your lesson from this game: when defending, developing your pieces is usually more important than grabbing material. Okay, that's the lesson for today from the Eugene Grinis Chess School. I hope it was useful and you enjoyed it. If so, push likes, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and leave comments. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.